Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another sleeper anime video. Listen, we're talking about Go Loser Ranger. It is on Hulu and it is absolutely amazing. Now, these sleeper anime videos, we just want to highlight some sleeper, really good animes that aren't getting talked about enough. Hence, sleeper anime. So the way that these videos can be structured is that the first third of the video is going to be for people who have not heard of Go Loser Ranger. We're not going to be dropping any spoilers. We're going to be talking about kind of what it's about, what we like about it, and why you should probably watch it. And then after that, we're going to be getting into the spoilers. We're going to be talking about specifics, like specific scenes, characters, things that happen, things that we think could happen for the next season. And we're really going to dive into it. So, depending whether you watched it, didn't watch it, there is chapters. Right? You can skip to where you want. And I mean, let's get right into it. Go Loser Ranger was a phenomenal anime. I really enjoyed it. I mean, dude, it was the anime that we caught up to, pretty much binged the entire thing in a night. After recording a podcast episode. It was absolutely insane, by the way. Casual Weeps podcast, link in the description. Every Tuesday, new episodes. But Blake, you wanna tell the people what Go Loser Ranger is about?
So super cool anime, kind of a fresh plot line. So 13 years ago, this villain army of evil, nothing too serious. They invade Earth and are basically met by Earth's resistance, these divine dragon rangers. And it's kind of set up like the Power Rangers. You have your red, your blue, your green, your pink, and your yellow ranger, right? And they all wield divine tools called artifacts, I think. And these divine tools are kind of where all their power derives from. It's kind of like an OP weapon. Basically, over the course of less than a year, this evil army and all their top level fighters are beaten, they're defeated, and they basically enslave these villainous evil creatures. They're just black and white foot soldiers. So these evil foot soldiers are called fighters. They basically enslave them and put on an event every Sunday on TV where the Rangers basically fight these fighters and their executives and basically beat them every week. And over the course of this, the main character, Fighter D, realizes this is a total sham, and he wants to put a stop to it and kind of bring them to justice.
Yeah, I think this anime is just really good because not only is it a really intriguing story, you have these invaders, then you have this ranger force, and it kind of reminds you of The Boys. But it's not like these Power Rangers that are just good guys and they're here to help and save the world. They're really greedy and they want to keep the fighting going on. They want to keep the war going on because they want to stay relevant. They want to stay rich. They want to stay famous. They want to stay. They want to stay at their hierarchy where they're on top of the world. They're the most important people because they're the ones that are saving the world. So they're kind of pieces of shit, which kind of really adds a really nice twist. And we end up seeing that later on in the anime where you end up seeing both sides being they're both kind of bad guys. You know what I mean? And that's what gives it a really cool stance, because then it focuses more on the main character and his party, the people that he surrounds himself with. So I thought it was a really good anime because, the story is really cool, but then the funny moments were great. First episode, the only little spoiler, it's not really a spoiler, but when they saw Fighter D at that fight, they're like, hey man, you weren't supposed to be here, you're not scheduled for Sunday, are you? You know what I mean? It was like working at McDonald's, clocking into a shift there where it's hey man, I didn't see you on the schedule today. Are you okay? What's going on? You know what I mean? It was very comedic. In my opinion, it was Kaiju 8. Whereas you have a really good in-depth story, right, and you have that great story progression and stuff like that, but then you have those really comedic moments. I think Kaiju 8 was just more story depth with a little bit less comedy, and Go Loser Ranger was the flip, where it focuses more on kind of those funny little scenes, those interactions, those moments, instead of necessarily the story. There's still focus on the story, and it's still really good, but I feel you have way more funny, comedic moments. I mean, boys. This anime's got action, it's got cool characters, it's got story, it's got multiple waifus. Look at the top two corners. I mean, god damn! And they fuck shit up. And they fuck, I just feel that was a lot of the things that I liked about the anime. What were your favorite parts about the anime that really, that you really noticed?
I like that it didn't take itself too seriously. You kind of touched on it. You get both sides of each army. You know what I mean? Neither of them are good guys, and that's kind of a reoccurring plot for the main character D. He kind of grapples with the fact that the side he's pulling for and fighting for isn't really good, but he knows the other side is actively enslaving them and embarrassing them. So that's a kind of a cool trope that he grapples with, but they also do a good job of giving you cool side characters, obviously waifus, and there's a lot of deception and kind of like treachery that we get throughout the full season. And there's still like questions we have, but I think they do a good job of giving us some really cool characters and like right away, like you're introduced to some like heavy hitters, which I think was cool.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like there's a lot of questions. We're going to be getting in that a little bit later in the video, but there's so many things that just weren't answered. Stuff that was brought up in the beginning of the anime. We're like, hey, what's going on with that person? And we still don't know. Like it's very interesting to that like aspect of it. Like the story is really good. Like there's stuff that like you're intrigued. You know what I mean? And it like you said, it doesn't take itself seriously. Like there's a ton of funny moments. I don't know if we brought this up, but like after he kind of decided to stop fighting the Rangers and stop being a part of this play, this show, he enlists himself into the academy, and his main goal is to kill the Rangers. This fighter who is in awful shape, he's not strong at all, he's so weak, is going against pretty much gods, because the divine artifacts give them so much power and transforms them into like a demigod. It's pretty insane. And they're the only things that can kill these fighters. So it's like a really interesting anime. There's a lot of really good stuff. I mean, I think that the animation looks really cool. The character designs are awesome. The story's intriguing. You got the waifus. The action's really good. I think the action is a bit more slept on because he's a fighter. Fighter D is a fighter at the end of the day. And what I mean by he's a fighter is, I mean, he's a weak grunt foot soldier. You know what I mean? He's not this character that is like super strong or like really kind of getting strong. He's learning how to fight a little bit better, but really it's him building his team and with his friends and working together and kind of like really the underdogs the entire season 1. They were really like slept on, getting their asses kicked while getting in a few shots here and there and really improving as the anime progressed. So it's not this, you know, okay, Fighter D becomes insanely broken and starts, you know, beheading Rangers. It's like, no, like he struggles. Like he needs people. And his character development is actually very slept on. You know what I mean? Because the ideals that he ends up battling and dealing with is really cool. There's so much to love about this anime.
Yeah, and that's another really good point. Like the action is like kind of slept on because he's not like acquiring powers or learning like techniques or whatever. He has to like kind of fight with his intellect and like kind of treachery. Before we get into any spoilers, like that's basically once he applies to the academy, like how he moves throughout the first season, kind of like deceptive, and as the story unfolds, he like adapts to it, but he never really gets strong enough to where he can influence the story or like these battles the way he wants it to. He has to kind of either get lucky or find a way to outsmart his opponent if they're demigods or not, which is a really cool thing. And like even over the course of the season, he doesn't really pick up anything other than like tricks of the trade, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, are we ready to get into some spoilers then? Listen, if that
I think we
intrigues
should.
you, if you're interested in that, pause it now, go binge it, and then come back. Listen, we are going to get into the finer details of this anime. I want to know what's up with the blonde mommy. I want to know what's up with her. Why is she trying to kill the Rangers? Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, what's up with that? She's trying to collect the artifacts. Like, what's going on?
like I guess that's like episode 1 or 2. Like once he decides he wants to infiltrate, the Dragon Keepers organization and take it down from within because he doesn't have that strength. He shapeshifts into another Academy soldier, Sakurama, and he's like almost immediately found out by Yumiko. Like she's very perceptive, she's very smart, and like we don't really find out kind of what her abilities are, like what her game plan is until the very end of the season. And we still don't even really know what her motives are, but she kind of puts Fighter D on this mission and like reassures him. So she's definitely a main character and somebody I think that D will stick close to. And I wonder if she's playing both sides or not.
Well, she's definitely a part of some bigger mission, but what is that mission? That's what I really wanted to know and have that question answered. She's an awesome character, so let's see more of her, and I think her plotline's gonna be very intriguing. But yeah, like going back to that as well, that other character that he transforms into, first of all, I like Fighter D's original form. I think it looked so much cooler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like almost comical. It's not too serious, but like he's got the little like skull face. I thought even just like their design, the
Oh no, I
fighters'
meant when he had
designs were
black
really.
hair. I'm talking about like the very beginning.
Oh, his original like form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was way cooler than Sakurama.
Yeah. But like that's another thing where it's a ton of mystery where like okay, he gets like dragged out into the woods and he's trying to survive against the Rangers. Because that one fight with the Red Ranger and he ends up meeting Sakurama and that's where that little interaction happened, which was absolutely insane. I mean, the kid cut off his hand, didn't he? to like help with
Yeah,
the
dude.
disguise. Like he went overboard. So like I think that character's so cool. I just liked Fighter D's original design, but it's like what's going on with him? Like that kid seems a little unwell. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
This like Fighter D is completely against your ideals. Like he wants to just destroy the Rangers. He thinks that they're shit. Get rid of them. Kill them all. But like Sakurama agrees, where he's like, yeah, they're broken, but like let's fix them from within. You know what I mean? So he's not really rooting for Fighter D because he wants them to be brought to justice and have it done right. But then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to cut off my arm to help you," and then he just dips. He's gone. Like we don't see him again. You know what I mean? Except for like a flashback. But
Get
like
one like quick 2-3 second scene of him like sitting in a trench coat. Like again, another question that gets unanswered, but yeah, he like sacrifices himself for this dude's purpose, for D's mission.
yeah, it's
No way.
insane. It's insane. And then you have his sister as well. His sister's a goddamn ranger. She's the pink one, which is insane. Because then you see her and you see his backstory. You really kind of feel for his backstory about what happened with him and his sister. But then his sister's also like a ranger and like can also like walk, which we didn't know that. And then there was the interaction where she ends up seeing him and he's like fuck, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? But she knows. Like his sister knows. She's like, that's not my brother. Like that she knew it was a fighter, and I think she saw like a tell or two. But like that was insane. Like there's so many things in this anime that keep getting brought up, and then like we're not going to address it. And like we're talking about like as early as like the second episode. It's insane, and I can't wait until like they further add on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it'll be cool to explore the other factions. Like we've kind of seen through this cadet training that Sakurama finds himself in. It's basically to get it on a team, you know what I mean, and be like one of the squad, a squad member for these dragon keepers, pink, red, blue, etc. So it'll be kind of cool to see where Fighter D ends up. Because you're exactly right. Like there's a few people in each squad now that know Fighter D is disguising himself. You
Oh,
have
there's like quite a few people that know the secret's definitely out of the bag.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like kind of how everybody rolls with it, and like he's managed to like gaslight people into like rocking with him, and you know what I mean, like kind of agreeing
He
with him, even
has.
though
It's kind of impressive.
he's like, yeah, everything we're working for, I'm trying to tear down, and people are like, you know what, you do have a point, so
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
but that's like the thing that's so amazing because like he has a realization. He's like both sides are pieces of shit. So it's kind of like he's like the third party, which is kind of nice. But then people like agree with him and they're kind of like, hey, like you're kind of right here, and it's kind of like cool having him see that like development. And I thought that was just really nice. But yeah, like how is he gonna like be a part of this like ranger school now? Like the cat's out of the bag is absolutely insane, dude. A ranger dies in season one, and it is the fucking best ranger. I was completely blown away when they were doing that backstory, and it was just Red, and he was at that meetup, and then you end up meeting that one guy, that one crook, and then you end up finding out like, oh no, that becomes the Blue Ranger, and then you're like, oh, I actually fucking liked. I loved how they did that, where they like made you fall in love with that character first, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's the Blue Ranger, and like, you motherfucker. You motherfucker. I wouldn't have liked them, but the way you projected it and the way you pointed the perspective of it made me like them. Like, that is smart. And then you fucking killed them. Like, that's the
Yeah.
one you kill out of all of them that suck. You kill the good one. Like, they always get you hooked, and then, like, get rid of them. It's like, dude, damn.
Yeah, they did a great job of like drawing you in towards the end of the season, kind of giving you his backstory and showing you a little bit about it. And I think that's kind of what makes some of the plot so good. The overarching plot of like, you know, the evil army versus the Rangers, and kind of how everybody gets swept up into this, regardless of, you know, their morals or how they feel. Like, it's really cool to see how it plays out, and everybody's kind of gunning for each other. But also, like, you know, you also run into Petrolta, the boss, which were supposed to be extinct. You know what I mean? They were wiped out over a year ago or whatever. And during this cadet like training mission or grading or whatever, we run into Petrolta, and kind of is the catalyst for this huge battle that takes place that ends up taking the Blue Ranger. And it's pretty crazy. Like this all like piles on in the last couple episodes, which is why it was so easy to binge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get so much of these like plot points coming together, and then they just don't finish them. So
And
I feel like the writing was set up for perfect like delivery for season 2.
And again, it's like the sleeper character development because like Fighter D is fighting the Blue Ranger, and is starting to like him. And Patrola comes out of nowhere and kills the Blue Ranger. So it wasn't even Fighter D. And he was like, hey man, like no, don't. What are you doing? Like you're gonna be okay, right? Like you're gonna
Yeah,
be all right. Like we're gonna keep fighting, right? Like we're not done. Like we're not done. Like what's going on? And you just see how actually like oh shit, like you feel bad for a ranger, dude. Like you want him to, like you see that development and it's insane. And then you have Patrol who's just a piece of shit, and you know he's not the only
yeah,
one. There has to be more bosses out there. And then you have X who's a part of it, and then she's just Patrola's like servant. So you love to see her have that character development where she snaps out of that and kind of develops her own personality. You know what I mean? Because that would be really cool as well. But she's a badass, and we actually realized that they met like at the last episode. It was right after the Rangers like enslaved them pretty much and got them in the contract, and some of the fighters walked away and were like, fuck this. She was one of them. She went up to Fighter Team and was like, hey, you're just gonna sit here and be a part of this? He's like, it's better than dying. She's like, that's pathetic, and then she left. So like they actually did know each other, and I thought that was really cool. So like the whole ending with the Blue Ranger was just absolutely insane. There's multiple things about it that was just great, and you can tell like this is just getting started, and it's chaotic because it's like who is Fighter D gonna go for? How's this gonna play out? There's so many like questions. There's so many open plot lines, and it's just like his whole stint at the academy has to be over. Too many people know about it. You know what I mean? And you got to know that like there's people in the academy that aren't on the Ranger side. Like it's all over the place. It is pure chaos, and that is what I love in anime, and that is what we have. So
yes.
none of it is predictable. I don't even have like ideas of like, oh, this could happen, that would happen. If you guys watch the anime podcast, we talk about that all the time. Like, oh, because of this like X, Y, and Z, I think that this is going to happen, or this would be really cool. I can't even say that for this anime because it is so chaotic. Everything's all over the place. It's like, dude, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just gonna sit back and fucking enjoy.
Hell yeah. There's so much to make you want to watch season two. It's like really open. And there's even that scene where Yumeko, like, kind of the only time she gets exposed. I think it's with Patrolta, like when she either stops time or like sound. I forget what her
Oh
ability
yeah,
is.
she can stop time.
And he's like,
It's like
what?
a TV remote.
Yeah, and he's like, what is like your game plan? What are you trying to get at? And she doesn't really like give a straight answer, but there's so many like open ends. And like you said, there's a lot of people within like the organization that don't really agree with the Dragon Keepers and would like to see them taken down. So like it's super cool to kind of like see where it's gonna go. There's so many good characters, and like the development in season one was pretty cool for a few of them. So like I would imagine season two would get probably even more intense, and we'll see like other people's backstories.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like the Red Ranger too, you can tell he's gonna die last because that dude's a piece of shit. He reminds you of like Homelander.
Yeah,
Like he nearly kills his second in command. I actually think he did kill his second in command because it's his
yeah, he
second in command
does.
was like oh yeah, like I can take your position. He's like, the fuck did you just say? And like puts his head through a wall and keeps smashing it until he's just like mush.
Like literally at dinner in front of everybody else.
Yeah, he just like walks into it and he's like covered in blood. He's like, all right, like, let's eat, guys. And everyone's just looking at him like, this guy's a fucking
Oh
psycho.
fuck.
Like it's insane. And it's
Yeah.
just like, it's just so. And dude, we didn't even talk about it, but like that death scene in the very beginning of the one fighter who went out looking for Fighter D, and Fighter D was there in the crowd, and that's how they really knew that Fighter D was actually a fighter instead of like a human being. Because they're like, hey, why are you getting so emotional over that random fighter dying? Dude, that was like out of nowhere emotional. Like at
Yeah.
that point in time, the anime had like no like emotion to it. It was just kind of like, oh, it's kind of funny, kind of interesting. And then you have that, and you're kind of like, bro, why
They
did
rope
he
you in so
die?
quick.
Yeah, I was like, shit, like that came out of nowhere. Like he was the man. He was so nice. He was so cool. It was just like that was like one of the cool scenes that I felt like really helped set the tone for Go Go Loser Ranger as well.
Yeah, very good point. They do a good job of like playing to the emotions pretty quick. And you know, there's a few scenes where like you dislike the Dragon Rangers, you feel bad for D, but like there's never a point where you're like, this is a good guy, I'm rooting for the main character, or I'm rooting for the Dragon Keepers. Like they keep it pretty ambiguous, which I think is cool. And it's kind of like we said, something that D struggles with the whole time, especially like when Blue Ranger gets killed. He's like almost devastated.
Yeah, but the funny thing is like, okay, he's the main character. Well, what does Fighter D want? Fighter D doesn't know. He has no idea
And
what he wants. So, like, at the same time, you can't really back Fighter D because it's like, well, I don't know what your cause is, dude. I don't know what your objective is because it keeps changing, and that just like shows the evolution of him. Like, Fighter D is a literal child. because like he all he was known to do is fight. Like he's actually being around people and experiencing some new emotions and experiencing new things where like he's actually like learning a lot, and it's like him like growing up, which is really insane because like he wants to kill all the Rangers, but then he just made a bunch of friends that were Rangers. He's like, well, I don't want to kill them, so like what do I do? You know what I mean? He's like, are they going to help me kill the Rangers, or are they going to get in my way? And it's just like he's constantly figuring out what he wants and how he's going to do things and what he's going to do, and that's what makes it so interesting. Like I said, this anime is pure chaos. There's no predicting it. There's no telling what's going to happen. It is just completely all up in the air. The fact that shit hit the fan, especially as hard as it did in the first season, it's just like, dude, anything's up for grabs. Who knows? The fact that a Ranger's already dead, the fact that he was exposed that much, the fact that there's already a boss back, and there's all this other stuff, it's like, this is going to get crazy, and I'm all for it.
Heck yeah, you're exactly right. It's very chaotic in how they kind of throw like different elements in the story at like different moments. When, you know, they kind of have something else going on, something else will pop up or a new character will show up, which I think speaks to how like kind of the depth of the story and how well it's written. I definitely need that season 2 announcement because like there's so many things we have to find out, and like I need to see the progression of the story, and also D too. Like it'll be cool to see where he arrives at, like between his morals and his goals. Like, what does he really want? Because you're exactly right. He doesn't know himself.
Yeah, so I'm stoked. Is season 2 not announced?
I don't know. Is it?
I just assumed that it wasn't because of what you just said. I was like, oh no.
All right. Yes. Sick. We do got a season 2.
We do?
Yeah. A couple weeks ago they announced it.
Yo, let's go, boys. Season 2 is going to be coming, so hopefully you guys are ready for it. Hopefully you guys are going to be enjoying. But I think that's it, man. Is there anything else you want to say about Goku Loser Ranger, or...
Season 2 in 2025. Get with it. Enjoy it now. Because I'm sure it'll like heat up. It'll get more intense as like the Dragon Keepers get involved, and you know we see the chaos with the cadets. I think it's a perfect time to get into it.
I mean,
and
it's
then
already pretty intense.
Yeah, true that. But like then you can say, you know, you were at the forefront. I watched it at season 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, guys, watch it at season 1. Come on, be a part of the beginning, right? Don't just hop on the bandwagon. I mean, come on. But hey, listen, it's a great anime. Season 2 is going to be absolutely insane. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? But we know it's going to be good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you think a friend's going to like this, recommend it to them. I mean, Hulu's got some insane animation. Dropped a video on it and talking about the catalog, their Hulu originals. It is going to be in the end credits. You can just click on it right there, and it's going to bring you right to the video. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day, and peace. The part I interrupted in was sounds like fucky, so we should like we gotta edit that and put it back in. So just say they're called fighters.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
All right,
just say it. I'll edit it in. I'll switch. I'll take it and I'll put it in the beginning.
Word. All right. Yeah. So I guess.
Oh, bro, all you have to say is they're called fighters. That's all you have to say.
Oh shit. My brain is not working.
It's all good.
Yeah. So they're called fighters, right? These
Perfect.
Evil foot soldiers.
Perfect. Oh fuck! Do you want to say? No. Okay, fine. Say that. Say that. Say exactly what you're gonna say. Say exactly what you're gonna say. No, you did it. I fucked it up. I interrupted again. I gotta stop.
No, you good. So these evil foot soldiers are called fighters.
That was good. That was good. I'm gonna take this and recopy and put it at the end as like a bloopers thing.
Alright, sick. I'm dying, dude.
Dude, it's so bad. Alright.